Well, first of all, I think it's important to say that this is not an Aboriginal event, just as this is not Aboriginal history. This is a Canadian event, just as this has been Canadian history. And the invitation is for those who have not yet had a chance to learn firsthand and to probe more deeply into all of this. First of all, to learn. So one of the, if I can perhaps talk you through the 4 days of the activities, we've tried to capture in that way the breadth of the ceremony. So the first day is really a day about underscoring the fact that we are all in this together. So there will be what we hope will be a very significant public walk and some opportunities for some traditional and proper protocol welcomes to the territory, which some people have not experienced. So those sorts of things also can be very moving, an opportunity to learn, and very sacred in their nature. The second day is really underscoring the fact that we still have lots to learn. So it's a learning day, and there will be particular activities that are targeting high school students, as I mentioned before, but there will also be public displays and learning venues through art, through informational installations, audio-visual. There will be films that will be available. There will be that day an introduction and induction of sort of the last round of our honorary witnesses, who are very prominent Canadians and international friends who have stepped forward saying, I am prepared to let my name stand in association with this work, and most importantly, I am prepared to keep the dialogue around reconciliation going when the commissioners and the commission itself has wrapped up its work. So we will have that opportunity as well. And just a number of venues and places, as I say, through various media and medium for people to learn about and experience. One of the things that is always most compelling for people is the opportunity to hear firsthand from those who lived the residential school experience. So we will have what we call survivor sharing circles, and that is sort of a dozen or so people in a circle at any given time, and an opportunity for those in the circle to each speak about how they have been affected by the residential school experience. It's not necessarily limited to survivors. There may be others who, intergenerational survivors as we call them, their children or grandchildren often, who have their own perspective that they want to share. But all others are welcome to witness that and to bear witness in that way of not as observers. It's not a passive activity. It's a very engaged activity, which is in a way a pledge to be there, to be present, to listen, to learn, and then to take forward the benefits of what you have learned and make sure that it gets spread further. So those are all things on that second day. The third day, sometimes it gets referred to as the business day, but it will be, the commission has something to say about all of this. It's basically our reporting out day. We will be talking about our conclusions in the months leading up to the closing ceremony, but that day will be really kind of the composite day where we unveil the collective bundle of it all, and we'll also do a bit of a retrospective through audiovisual means as well of what the experience has been, the many thousands and thousands of people in every region of this country who have been part of the walk we have had as commissioners and who have contributed vitally to the work of the commission. The fourth day is more of a ceremonial day. We've said from the beginning the work we are doing is a sacred trust, and we want to conclude it with that very clearly in mind as well. Our mandate talks about the sharing of truths contributing to the healing of spirits and opening the door to the possibility of reconciliation. So in a way, the closing ceremony will touch on those very three things: the sharing of truths, the freeing of spirits, both for those who have been carrying around things that they may not have shared ever before, but also for those of us who are just coming to learn about this and to allow ourselves to be shifted. Many people talk about transformation, these experiences being transformational for them. And then the third element being opening the possibility of reconciliation. So on that fourth day, one of the very important things that we will do is to identify who are those individuals, agencies, institutions, and so on, who are standing up and saying, I will carry that torch. I will keep this going. I will keep the reconciliation walk and talk and action alive. One of the really pivotal ones is actually spelled out in our mandate. It is the National Research Center, as it's referred to in our mandate. It may have a slightly more elegant name by then, but it is the place and the network, I should say, which will be, first of all, cornerstone at the University of Manitoba, but with contributing associated partners right across the country over time. Some of them are already confirmed and some of them are still being invited in. But what we need is a safe place. We pledge to the survivors that all that you give us, all that you share with us, we receive as a sacred trust, and we will make sure that your words and your teachings are safeguarded in perpetuity and that they will remain accessible, not buried away. So passing the torch to the National Research Center will be one of the very important moments where we say, this is where it will now all be. Here's how you can access what it is you may need to look for or probe further. But there, as I say, there are other individuals in our honorary witnesses that I've mentioned. The honorary witnesses, these prominent Canadians who have said, we'll keep it alive. We need to pass the baton or the obligation, the sacred trust. We'll pass that sacred trust along to these other individuals, and there are a number of organizations who are already working in the field of reconciliation. Many of them have done things in partnership with us, both at previous events and at this closing ceremony. So we want to make sure that they are named and honored and thanked, but also that they are properly set up to carry out the pledge that they've made, that they'll keep it going.